Good afternoon. My name is Rick Snyder, and I am the president of the Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 86. This past May 2018, our Indianapolis FOP stood before the residents of our community and very publicly shattered the mold of the typical approaches having to do between our officers and our community. In that announcement, the rank and file members of law enforcement throughout Marion County made clear that when it comes to doing business as usual in response to the challenges we collectively face, those days are over in Indianapolis, and we must think bigger. In fact, in the short months since our public pledge to help move our community forward, our membership, which consists of over 3,000 active and retired officers and their families, have pledged $25,000 to the effort, met with countless local organizations to begin building bridges based on trust and respect, and we have brought our faith-based community together to pilot the One Cop project as a model for other communities in our country. We have worked to improve citizen and officer safety throughout statewide agencies such as the BMV, and we have provided top-of-the-line training for our law enforcement peers throughout Indiana, and we are now beginning the production of audio and visual public education modules to ensure continuous improvements in the service and protection provided by our officers in partnership with our residents and visitors. But we will not stop there. In fact, the one thing that the subsequent public dialogue has revealed is that we cannot continue to circulate around the same tired responses. Again, our city and all those who want to help make it better must think bigger. We must come together with a shared objective focused on education, prevention, intervention, and community collaboration. At some point, rather than tear each other down, we must answer the question of how do we stand together. The need to stand together became apparent once again at the beginning of this year. Unfortunately, due to decisions made by officials in our nation's capital, the federal government was shut down for a period of time. As a result, the ripple effects of those decisions affected our fellow neighbors in multiple ways and highlighted the need and the specific issue of food insecurity for many of the most vulnerable in our local communities. Fortunately, our government and subsequent funding for necessary programs returned to normal operations, yet the impact of those stopgap measures is still being felt to this day. More specifically, the 500,000 Hoosiers who receive food assistance through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the SNAP program, had the normal disbursement of resources shifted, and as a result, this created a significant gap for those already experiencing the challenges of food insecurity and hunger, especially the children of our state. Because of this development, our frontline officers saw the real-world impact of these issues in a very tangible and real way. Please understand, this is not about politics, it is about people. Thus, our organization became more involved in better understanding the issues surrounding hunger and food challenges. We learned that more than 135,000 of our fellow Indianapolis residents participate in the food stamps program, and much of their assistance comes from neighborhood food pantries, such as the Officer David S. Moore Food Pantry right here in Fountain Square, who are supplied by organizations like the Midwest Food Bank. The Midwest Food Bank currently serves 320 agencies and helps feed fellow Hoosiers in 72 of the 92 counties of our state. On a monthly basis, they distribute 90,000 cases of food, helping to feed families including nearly 30,000 children every month. As we begin to better understand the need that exists in our neighborhoods to simply have enough food to eat, our members stepped forward and said, "We will lead by example in extending a helping hand through actions and not just words, above and beyond our daily responsibilities." Therefore, on behalf of our Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police, I am pleased to announce the formation of a long-term strategic partnership with the Midwest Food Bank. This partnership has been named Bridging the Gap. Further, our Indianapolis FOP is taking immediate action to specifically help our neighbors throughout Fountain Square and the surrounding zip codes by opening our doors this Saturday, March 30th, to provide an additional food distribution with the help of the Midwest Food Bank in order to immediately help those affected by the disruption of services via the SNAP Food Benefits Program. Amazingly, nearly 25% of the residents within the Fountain Square community are below the poverty level, and a significant number of those affected are children. We are called upon to love God and to love our neighbor. And that is exactly what we plan to do within our very own neighborhoods. We also call upon other organizations throughout Indianapolis to identify how they can play a role. Perhaps our efforts will inspire others to think bigger and ask the question, what part of this do we own in bridging the gap? Additionally, our members of the Fraternal Order of Police are also receiving these food bags with specific items listed upon them, and they are then purchasing those items with their own money and returning them to our lodge, where we will collect and transport those items back to the Midwest Food Bank in an effort to continue bridging the gap and helping others in need, thus completing the circle. And finally, as we structure a solid infrastructure for food distribution, we are hopeful to reverse engineer those efforts and provide a forum for our members of our community to donate food through our pipelines so that when needed, we can quickly collect and transport food items to those in need during natural disasters such as our fellow Americans who are suffering from the floods in Kansas and Nebraska and other states. In short, we can do this. And today is another step forward in moving our community forward. As such, we encourage others to join us, again, not just in words, but in actions. It will take every neighborhood, every church, every civic group, every business leader, every elected official, every teacher, every pastor, every citizen, and yes, every law enforcement officer to think bigger than our current situation and to truly be the light in the darkness. If we can't do this at the neighborhood level, we will not be able to do it as a city. So we call upon those involved and all those observing from the sidelines to join us in this effort. We challenge others in our business and nonprofit community to also financially contribute to this effort and pledge their support to bridging the gap. Therefore, we are also announcing a donation on behalf of our membership to the fundraising efforts of the Midwest Food Bank, which will continue next month during an April fundraising drive by pledging a donation of $1,500 to tackle child hunger in our neighborhoods. And with that, I would like to introduce Mr. John Whitaker, who serves as the Executive Director of the Indiana Division of the Midwest Food Bank. John?
Thank you, Rick. I don't know about you, but it gives me goosebumps knowing that I live in a city, in a state where over 1 million individuals are food insecure, where there is food that's grown all around us, and it seems to be such a disparity. I'm going to tell you that all good things in our community and our world today happen by those that step out by faith to do them. And Rick, many thanks to you and the FOP by being bold enough to step out by faith to help the people not only that you serve as public servants, but as human beings. And that's something we can all do. The Midwest Food Bank started in 2008. We serve 320 agencies in 72 counties. And we feed over 90,000 people each month. 30,000 of those, as Rick mentioned, are children. And not about you, but when I was a child, I didn't have to worry about what was put on my plate for my meal each morning before I left for school. But 30,000 helpless children in our community have been abandoned by us. And today we can make a difference. Today we can change that. We're going to start that with a distribution. As you all know, the SNAP program is a valuable program and one that helps many, many individuals in our community. Nearly 300,000 families are provided with SNAP benefits in the state of Indiana, and we're so thankful for them. On March 30th, we're going to have an event called Bridge the SNAP Gap, where 300 family food boxes will be distributed to people in the Fountain Square community through 4 local food pantries here that the Midwest Food Bank and others support. We're doing that so that we can give them a hand up, because it's really difficult to navigate things when you are food insecure. So I'd like to read this to you. 300 family food boxes will be distributed on March 30th at the FOP headquarters in Fountain Square. Vouchers were handed out to 4 local food pantries who will be serving their clients prior to our distribution. Food boxes were donated by I-Town Church and its members. I-Town is located here in Indianapolis. Our hope is to bridge the gap individuals experience in navigating the SNAP program and to lift up our neighbors by providing much-needed food and personal care items to families in Fountain Square neighborhoods. The partnership with the FOP is another great example of our community working together to fight food insecurity and the impact it has in our city. We applaud the FSSA's continuing efforts to help those who are marginalized in our community, most who are facing the greatest time of need in their lifetime. Bridge the SNAP Gap event is focused on providing food and personal care items to people who need our additional support, not just through the government shutdown, but also on an ongoing basis. It's also focused on raising hunger awareness and to educate our community on the hardships food insecure individuals face here in Indiana. SNAP was designed to be the supplemental nutritional assistance program, as Rick mentioned earlier, offering basics for those who meet its requirements. In essence, it's a supplement meant to provide for millions of Hoosiers facing food insecurity. Food banks, pantries, soup kitchens, and government programs must continue to work together with added community support to shorten the lines and restore overall health to our community. The FOP and Midwest Food Bank have united to set an example of how that can happen through strong strategic partnerships. In 2008, we started the food bank, and 11 years ago, poverty rate in Indiana was 14.5%. It went to a high in the state of Indiana to 19% just 3 years ago. And after 11 years, the poverty rate in Indiana is again 19% in our state. I'm sorry, 14% in our state. In Marion County, nearly 19% of the folks in Marion County are food insecure. Today, we're going to make an impact on those people's lives. And with the help of the FOP, with the help of our community supporters, and with the help of the media folks that are here today to get the word out, we hope to make this a successful event and also a successful kickoff to a partnership with the FOP and Midwest Food Bank for years to come. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Can you explain what the long-term program is here? I understand you're giving food away to 300 families, and that's a nice and wonderful thing, but it's a one-shot deal. What's the long-term strategy? What's the FOP going to do long-term to see if these people?
Number one is to bring awareness to the issue. I think most people, when they think about the issues of food insecurity and hunger issues, especially with children, even within their own city, they think of that being people in another part of the city. What many people don't realize is that many of our fellow neighbors are living in the shadows of these issues. And what we want to drive home is that a part of thinking bigger is really a tagline of the Midwest Food Bank, which is small is big. And really to drive home that you can start in small ways of bridging this gap right in your own neighborhood amongst your fellow neighbors, but then building that out. So we're going to lead by example in our Fountain Square neighborhood. And then the long-term project is, again, to be providing and paying forward that help, much like the church provided for our event this Saturday. Our members are then going to help provide that for other organizations moving forward. And the third component is we have a very active and robust retiree group, retired officers who want to continue giving back to their communities. This is a very good way for them to do that, both in assembling these food boxes, but also in helping with some of their expertise, such as CDL drivers, licenses, and being able to transport these goods, being able to have retired and active public safety personnel respond during emergencies and disaster relief, and then also flushing out our partnership through Midwest with the Salvation Army as well, who works on that front.
Your officers have their hands full fighting crime.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. What does this have to do with fighting crime, and what do you think the impact's going to be?
Well, you know, we've really gone through a time of introspection, not just in our local organization, but in our profession as well. And this is what we came back with, which is caring is our business in whatever way we do that. If that means educating people on the law, if that means enforcing rules and regulations and laws that are on the books, if that means intervening in the middle of violence and tackling the violent issues that our community faces, but it also means caring for our fellow humans in our community. Not losing track of the humanity that is involved in the day-to-day work of our officers. And quite honestly, this highlights what our officers already do on a consistent basis. If I went into any roll call in this city and I asked them, how many of you have ever pulled out cash out of your own pocket to help somebody in need that you have seen out on the streets or in your interactions, every hand would go up. It's what our officers do. They just don't talk about it. They don't show it a lot. But this is a very formalized way for them to do that. And again, encourage others to step up and help bridge the gap as well. Other questions?
John, can you explain the situation with the shutdown and the SNAP benefits and why, you know, this moment in time is necessary to do an event like this?
Well, you know, people that live day to day, and as I said earlier, the SNAP benefit is a supplement. It doesn't provide all that people need to live, really. Some of the things that people can't get from SNAP are bathroom tissue, toothpaste, deodorant, personal care items. That's not afforded to them through the SNAP program, as well as it's really based upon the level of income they have and where they're at. So about $5,000, if you have assets more than $5,000, you cannot enlist with the SNAP program. So a lot of people that can't take advantage of that. And so basically with a government shutdown, people that were already accustomed to not having much had a little bit less. And the way it was dispersed, the first couple of months after that shutdown, it was spread out. Now different states do that locally. Now they decide how that's going to be dispersed. In the state of Indiana, it's dispersed by last name alphabetically. So if you're an A, you get it the first of the month. If you're a XYZ, you get it at the last of the month, but you get it that time every month. When the government was shut down, those were not handed out on a timely basis. Although FSSA has done a great job this month of trying to get it back in line, where a disbursement was from February was done early in the month of March, stayed over to the next month, and then in March, in the latter part, they'll get another disbursement. But what happens is when you're needy, and a lot of times people just don't manage their funds well when they get them on the EBT card. They have a tendency of spending that money really early on because it's been a while since they've got a disbursement. And so we have people in our community right now that have run out of days in the month that their disbursement covers. And so those are the folks that we're trying to help right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.